What's up, everyone? I got my Week 10 NFL reactions and takeaways. My Week 10 record for picks was 10-4, putting my current record at 152. And we'll start off with Bengals and Ravens on Thursday Night Football. One of the best games of the week, to be honest. You had Ja'Marr Chase putting up 11 receptions, 267, and 3 touchdowns. And if you had to play him in fantasy football, you probably lost. And somehow the Bengals lost despite having that insane of a performance from a player. And, you know, the thing that was frustrating for the Bengals was they were up by 14. It was in the third quarter. I mean, the Ravens weren't playing that great, but they just let them come back, essentially, and win. And it's just, like, the Bengals, like, Zach Taylor needs to go. He is wasting some of the best performances of NFL history from his players. And they're losing. Like, they're not even winning games. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this team should not be 4-6. They should be a lot better than they are. As for the Ravens, I mean, congrats on beating a division rival. Definitely close. And you definitely need to play better in the first half against better teams, but a win is a win, so congrats about that. Moving on, we got the Germany game. The Panthers winning in overtime against the Giants 20-17. And the Panthers, they won 2 in a row for the first time ever in Bryce Young's career, which it's a sad stat, but it is a good one to break, so congrats to Panthers fans. You deserve that one. And, you know, this is a game, I mean, the Panthers, they played pretty well for the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, they looked a little slippery, but they did manage to hang on and win in overtime. I mean, the Giants kind of handed it to them, but you'll take any wins you can get when you're a rebuilding team like the Panthers. As for the Giants, I mean, this is a game, like, if you already don't know how bad of a quarterback Daniel Jones is, this game essentially put on display how terrible he is. And this, I would assume this would be the last season he's with the Giants, or at very least starting for the Giants, because he is holding that team back. I mean, you've got guys like Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy on the offense, and Dexter Lawrence, and Brian Burns on the defense, and you're just wasting them. Like, Danny's got to go. Moving on to our first 1 o'clock game, we got the Patriots upsetting the Bears 19-3. And the Patriots, they've struggled a lot this year. But, you know, one bright spot of this team is Drake May, and Drake May had probably the best game of his NFL career up to this point. And, I mean, the flashes are there. If you can get a real team surrounded around Drake May, the Patriots, they'll be a fun team to watch in the future. And as for the Bears, I mean, they're a mess. They did fire their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, who I had as their biggest problem in my every NFL team's biggest problem video. So I guess good on the Bears for finally doing that, but I don't think it's going to do that much for him. I still think Matt Eberflus is not a good head coach, and I think they need to get rid of him if they want any chance this season. And until they do, they're just going to keep doing the same shit. I definitely don't think they're beating the Packers next week, and it's just not looking good right now. After that bye week, they just have looked terrible. All right, moving on, we got the 49ers beating the Bucs 23-20, and this was Christian McCaffrey's first game playing this season, and he had a solid game, and he obviously helped the 49ers in their victory. He's one of their best playmakers, and this is not the prettiest game by the 49ers. Their kicker, Jake Moody, missed 3 field goals, but they did still manage to win the game. And a win's a win, and never apologize for winning a game, and they did just that. So congrats to the 49ers for improving to 5-4 and getting right back in the playoff race. As for the Bucs, I mean, like, this is exactly what I've been talking about every time I talk about the Bucs, because they have talent. They could have easily won that game. I mean, Baker Mayfield played unbelievable in the fourth quarter. There were a couple of plays where he was just straight up stiff-arming Nick Bosa, which, if you don't know how insane that is, I mean, Nick Bosa is one of the best defensive players in the NFL. And, that's insane. And they still lost. Just, they don't play aggressive enough. I feel like they're too conservative. They play to not lose, and they lose. And, Todd Bowles just needs to work on his in-game management. Our next game, we got the Broncos losing to the Chiefs by 2 points with a blocked field goal at the very end. And the Chiefs, we'll start with them. They improved to 9-0, and they've yet to lose a game. And they look fraudulent as hell, and I cannot stand them. And I don't think a lot of people can't stand them, but they don't lose. They can't lose. I mean, they literally, this is a very ugly win, but they got the job done. And I mean, you just have to put your hands up and just be like, well, they're the Chiefs, and that's literally what it's like, they just keep winning, and until they lose, I mean, they're gonna be regarded as the best team by most people. As for the Broncos, oh boy, this was tough. This is just, we were up, we didn't score at all except for the second quarter, so our offense definitely took a step back in this game. But that final drive, we did everything right. We got the first down, we got in a field goal range. We burnt all the Chiefs' timeouts. We got a first down. We need the ball because we didn't want to give them another chance. And all we had to do was not fuck shit up. And we fucked shit up most definitely. The field goal, that was a 35-yard field goal, by the way. It got blocked. Are you fucking kidding me? A 35-yard field goal? You can't be serious. It's not hard to block for that. It's not like it's a 60-yarder or something. A 35-yard field goal, and you can't block that for 2 seconds? Come on, guys. I mean, I like the resilience. I like the fact this was close, but to lose in that fashion, it's going to take a while for me to get over that, to be honest. You guys have really disappointed me on that play. Really disappointed me. Okay, moving on, we got the Bills taking care of business against the Colts. And there's not really any huge takeaways from this game. I mean, the Bills, they're a better team than the Colts, and they took care of business. And the score's honestly a lot closer than the game. I mean, the Bills are up by 17, and the Colts just scored a garbage time touchdown. So yeah, Bills look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and nothing too crazy happened. I mean, hopefully their receivers can get healthy soon, because they're going to need them for the playoffs if they want to go far. As for the Colts, I mean, they're a frustrating team. I feel like they take one step forward, 2 steps back. They're one of those teams. And I don't know. It's hard to watch him. Joe Flacco is looking more like what I expected Joe Flacco to look like, just because he's not very good, and he's kind of losing his Linsanity run right now. He had a moments with the Browns that made people think he was back to elite form, but he's done. And I think at this point, you honestly should just play Anthony Richardson. Our next game, we got the Steelers beating the Commanders by 1 point. And this was a really good victory by the Steelers. Their offense looked really well. They kept Jaden Daniels in check, which I thought they would, but it's always easier said than done. So, because I said that the Steelers defense would give them problems, but I mean, they did. They did what I said they would do, and you can't be too upset about that if you're a Steelers fan. And they definitely got lucky in this game. The Commanders actually had the ball up by 6 inside the 10, and they fumbled. And normally when a team's in that situation, they can just kick a field goal and make it a 2-score game, but the Steelers' defense really came up clutch there, giving the Steelers' offense an opportunity to score a touchdown and win, or take the lead by 1, and they did just that, and they were able to hang on from there. So, I gotta give my props to the Steelers. They played a really good game. As for the Commanders, I mean, honestly, the fact that you guys still put up 27 points with Jaden Daniels not having a good game, because he didn't. Yeah, it's kind of impressive. I mean, it's obviously not good that you lost. You never want to lose, but I mean, games like this just kind of just happen because your defense still isn't good. So that's why you struggled against the Steelers' offense. And your offense just had to go up against a really good defense. And I think when you're a young team like the Commanders, I mean, you're just prone to games like that. And I think they will be a very fun team moving forward. And I think they will be a tough out in the playoffs. But, it's just the reality of the team, the state of the team right now. Our next game, we got the Vikings taking care of the Jags 12-7. And despite them winning, what an ugly way to win. They only scored by field goals. They kicked 4 field goals in this game. And because they were playing a team like the Jags, it was enough. So, I mean, you can't hate on a team for just doing their job and getting the victory. But, Sam Darnold has not looked good these past few weeks. And I think that might be cause for concern when they start, having to play teams like the Packers again, the Lions again, maybe even the Bears again if they can get their shit together. And it's just... they're playing easy opponents right now, so I guess if there's one silver lining, if you want to play like this, you can against teams like the Jags, because the Jags are a bad team, and they're still able to get the victory over them. As for the Jags, I mean, their defense played good, but that's about it. Their offense didn't play anywhere close to good enough to win a football game. And, I mean, it's just, they need to fire Doug Peterson. This team, they're playing like they know their coach is going to get fired. And the only thing that's, keeping this trend of play going is the fact that they haven't fired him yet. They need to fire Doug Peterson. He's not a good coach, and he's coached horribly this year. The Jags are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and until they fire him, it's going to be more of the same. Moving on, we got the Saints beating the Falcons 20-17, and the Saints able to get their 3rd victory, snap their 7-game losing streak, and beat a division rival. So it's always nice to do that. And, this is the first game this season where Dennis Allen wasn't the head coach because they fired him after last game. And you could just see the players looked better. I mean, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself because they're still 3-7 and I don't trust them too much. But, it always feels good to get a victory against a division rival. And, yeah, I mean, enjoy this, Saints fans. You've earned it. As for the Falcons, I mean, this is a winnable game. You guys easily could have won this game. But when you miss 3 field goals in a game and you're playing a division rival on the road, and your offense kind of stagnates a little bit, usually you're going to lose. Usually you can't win games that way, even if you're playing against an inferior rival. They will find ways to exploit it, and they did just that. And Falcons, that wasn't their best game. All right, moving on to our first 4 o'clock game, we have the Chargers beating the Titans 27-17 in a score that is a lot closer than the actual game. Chargers... they've looked really good this year. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's a very good head coach, and he has, just shifted the culture, and I think this team's going to be a really good team. They will make the playoffs, I'm assuming, and they'll be a tough out. I mean, Jim Harbaugh has his guys playing at top-tier level, something that the Chargers have needed for years, and they finally got it. So I'm a fan of a rival, but, it's always good to see a team that doesn't have much success get some success. So I'm honestly happy for them. As for the Titans, I mean, it's no real takeaways for them here. They're just a bad team that lost to a better team. And, it's just Will Levis isn't that good. He's a bad quarterback, and until you guys get a new quarterback, this team's just going to be more of the same. I mean, you guys have weapons on offense. Tony Pollard's pretty good. Calvin Ridley's pretty good. And it's there's only so much you can do with a bad quarterback like Will Levis. And Mason Rudolph's not much better either. So they just need a new quarterback in the offseason. Our next game, we got the Cardinals blowing out the Jets 31-6, and the Cardinals, they're a feisty team. They don't have talent, a whole lot of it at least, but the talent they do have, they do utilize it to the fullest potential, and you saw that on display. I mean, putting up 31 points against a team like the Jets, who do have a good defense, it's really impressive. And this team, they're such a feel-good story. There's a lot of feel-good stories, and the Cardinals are one of them. Because you've got Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, James Conner. That's about it. I mean, they don't really have anyone else. I mean, I guess they have Budda Baker on defense, but, I mean, there's not a whole lot on this team, and they're still just playing like very well for a team that doesn't have much talent, and I'm happy for them. As for the Jets, I mean, they're done. They've been done since about they've been done since they lost to the Patriots, and then they teased us a little bit by beating the Texans, which that was an impressive victory. And then you lose to a team like the Cardinals, who, don't get me wrong, they played well, but you can't. You lost by 25 points to a team you are significantly more talented than. And it's just, you can just tell this team's checked out. I think the players are just fed up with Aaron Rodgers and his me-first attitude. And, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for this team. It's just, I hate to say it. I hate to beat a dead horse here because the Jets just haven't had much success, but I mean, just Aaron Rodgers, he's not the guy. He doesn't have it anymore. And he's a locker room cancer to add on top of it. All right, moving on, we got the Eagles crushing the Cowboys 34-6. And this game basically represents where each team is heading right now. Eagles are 7-2, and they actually just took back the NFC East for at least this week. And, it's going to be a two-way race between them and the Commanders. Both teams looking very well, and it's going to be a fun race. I mean, whoever wins will probably be the 2 seed, if I had to imagine. And, the Eagles, they just took care of a bad team. The Cowboys, who are surprisingly bad, really bad for a team with as much talent that they have. I mean, they still have, I guess Dak Prescott's injured, but they still have CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, this team's checked out. I think it's kind of like what I said with the Jaguars, where I said they know their coach is going to get fired. And I think that's just what's happening, because Mike McCarthy, I think it's only a matter of time before Jerry Jones kicks him out of the Cowboys stadium, or out of the facility, rather. And yeah, players are playing like he's about to get fired. Oh man, Sunday night was fun. The Lions beat the Texans 26-23, improving to 8-1. And this game, I'm not going to lie, the Lions did not play good for most of this game. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in this game. That's insane that he threw that many and didn't get benched. And the Texans, they looked really good in this first half, and then they got completely shut out in the second half. And even in the second half, it took a minute for the Lions to finally get their shit together. But they did. Their defense played lockdown defense in the second half, and it gave the offense opportunity after opportunity. And the saying is, good teams find ways to win, even in the darkest of times. And the Lions definitely looked like they were in the darkest of times after that first half. But, there's one thing you need to know about this Dan Campbell-led Lions team. They will never quit. They will never, ever quit on him. And you could really see that in this game. Despite the struggles they've had, they still managed to do just enough to win the game. And yeah, the Lions are just one of those teams. They're extremely gritty, and they'll be a very, very good team in the playoffs. And ending this week, we got a shocker. The Dolphins able to beat the Rams on Monday Night Football 23-15. And the Dolphins, they played really good defense. Their offense was Their offense was all right, but their defense really slowed down the Rams. And, like, that's actually really impressive, considering the Dolphins don't even have the greatest defense. But they did. They were able to slow down, Kyren Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Like, they slowed down that trio of monsters on offense. So credit to them for that. And, it's always good to get a win. Like, I still think I don't think they're going to make the playoffs or anything crazy like that. But it's always nice to get a win when you can, when you're a struggling team like the Dolphins. And as for the Rams, this is a huge blow. I thought for sure they would win this game, but they didn't do it. They didn't get the job done. And, I mean, Stafford played awful in this game. Like, there were some throws that he missed that you never, ever want to see him miss. And he might be a problem for him moving forward if they don't figure that situation out. So, Rams need to start playing better. But that's going to do it for this video. And on Thursday, I got my Week 11 NFL predictions. I will see you all there.